We're the giants of Africa.
I don't think there's any country in Africa that is inferior and one is a giant. Y'all can sing. Y'all don't have electricity still. Yeah. Do you have a national carrier? We have Kenya Airways. You have?
Nigeria, the reason why we do not have electricity is beyond the fact that we cannot do it. If you compare Kenya to Nigeria, how many cities are in Kenya? And how many cities are in Nigeria?
Look at the naira and the shilling. You see, it's good to have cities and everything, but how does it then reflect on your economy and your GDP?
We're huge representatives of Africa and what it brings to the world. When I was doing high school in Spain and people talking to me about Burna Boy, I'm like, what you know about Burna Boy?
Saying Nigeria has the best music, I do not buy that. What we are supposed to say is Nigerian music is the most hard-working industry in the whole of Africa.
We can see that music is feeding your artists because many of our artists here are struggling.
Here are the prompts we'll be discussing on today's episode. Please step forward if you agree with the prompt. Nigeria is the giant of Africa.
Why is the nation giant? When you say something is giant,
That's the proper question.
what is the definition of a giant? Weight, size, power, and
Resources.
basically, right? Population-wise, nobody beats us.
Yeah.
Manpower, nobody beats us. Talking about technology, as much as every other country has technology, we have the biggest electronic market in the world.
Yeah.
In Africa, sorry. These technology companies that are building stuff everywhere would firstly consider the Nigerian market before building anything for Africa. My name is Joel Akintimehi. I am British Nigerian. I'm a sound engineer, digital marketing strategist, and so many other things. I've been in and out of Kenya. I came to Kenya first in 2019, and I came to do another job in Kenya in 2020. Since then, I started falling in love with the place. There's this calmness, this, silence, this less hooting and less noise that I love personally. So since then, I've been like, you know what? If I want to chill, if I don't want trouble, stress, I just go to that one place that gives me that peace, and it's Kenya.
We have those resources. The only thing is that we don't utilize them.
Yeah.
But we have them in the business world. We are very much business oriented. It can't be compared. Yeah, it's as if we are born with it. Wherever a Nigerian is not, that there is no resource there. There is no business. And
That's
it's
a
true.
fact,
For a Nigerian to step in somewhere means that there's something they are looking for.
Yeah.
And they will find it.
You know where you see Mexican Nigerian?
Yeah,
This one
British
everywhere.
Nigerian.
Jamaican Nigerian.
There's Nigerian mixed with
There's
everything.
Chinese Nigerian.
If you go to Mars,
There's Nigerian
you
mixed
just
with
might
everything.
find a Nigerian. You just might find a Nigerian. Of course, we always like to act like we're the big brother of whether that's West Africa or Africa as a whole. But 1/5 of every African is a Nigerian. We travel elsewhere. I bet you the first black guy you're gonna bump into, is probably a Nigerian, right? He's mentioned several fields, whether it's population, technology. We haven't even spoken about music, right? Entertainment industry is massive, right? So we're huge representatives of Africa and what it brings to the world. We're the giants of Africa.
Can the disagreeers now please step forward?
I think in egocentric much.
Oh, no.
Egocentric much.
I'm not even hiding it.
No, because I don't think there's any country in Africa that is inferior and one is a giant. And that subliminal messaging from the West to make you think, because in what regard? If we're talking about minerals, Democratic Republic of Congo.
That's true.
Up there, right? So in what regard? Y'all can sing. Y'all don't have electricity still. My name is Yolanda Mulwa. I'm a radio presenter. On what level, in what regard would someone say I'm better than you? I think we all complement each other. We have our strengths as we have our flaws. Let's strive to have a more cohesive continent than imagine in our heads that we're better than others in the room. So it has its good side and maybe it has its drawbacks. So let's strive to do better. Do you have electricity in your country?
Yeah,
I've never
we
even
have.
been and I know.
We just
Really?
don't have
24 hours.
No,
Yeah. Do you have a national carrier? We have Kenya Airways. You have?
to have like 2
You have?
We have earpiece.
I beg.
It's not national. It's a private.
So in what regard? I feel like there's subliminal messaging that has to keep you guys and your egocentric selves thinking, assuming, so you'll never come to the table on a level playing field mentally. You assume you're better than others. That's actually the only issue I ever have with Nigerians. You feel superior than other Africans. And I'm like, y'all can sing. Entertainment, you knock it out of the park, period. Okay, maybe in the loving too. But everything else it's subjective. It's in the eye of the beholder.
Is it ego when it's natural? I believe if you know what to do and you do it well, it's not ego if you rep that thing, right? So I think it makes others feel like you're doing too much. Just be humble and relax. But how? If I'm strong, I can lift 4 people. Yes, I'll lift 2 people. It's not bragging, it's what I can do.
Pause. Something else you can do is help us get to 100K by hitting the subscribe button and like this video if you really like the video. Now, let's get back to the show.
I remember one time we wanted to have a concert with Kenyans and Nigerians. We were thinking of having just a business conference, and I was seated with this artist from Nigeria, and I was excited. I was like, yeah, Kenyans love you. And then they just were like, so which Kenyan artists are we going to have? So I asked them which Kenyan artists, and they said, we don't even know your music. And that's the thing. I find that like in Kenya, we embrace Nigeria a lot, but Nigerians don't embrace us as much. And in certain areas, they feel like they're superior. And I'm like, instead of feeling you're superior, why don't we learn from each other? It's not, you can learn how, for example, we can teach you how to have electricity for 24 hours. And then you can teach us how to have music. We can teach you how to not queue for oil. That's
you don't
one
have to expose
thing.
everything.
In Nigeria, I have to have 2 drivers. One who drives me during the day, and then another one at night who queues for my fuel for the next day. And then you can teach us how to act and all that.
And commercialize our music, for
and
instance.
celebrate our strengths. I think it's a colonizer's, strategy where they came and they told us, you people are Nigerians, you are Kenyans, you're very different. They are very good in this area, you're very bad in this area. Now let's fight. So I think that comparison is something that we really need to get rid of. My name is Cynthia Nyamai. I am a Pan-Africanist, so born in Kenya. I am a businesswoman, a journalist, and also I'm in ministry where I run a church here in Kenya. And I truly, truly love Nigeria. I think Nigeria has played a very big role in the person that I am today. I worked and lived there for 4 years, and they really taught me how to be proud to be an African. So Nigeria is like a second home to me.
I also think the gap between the Nigerians rich and the poor, I think, is wider than the Kenyan one. True. Also thinking about also the currency, you guys' currency is...
It's not looking pretty right now.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about the giants of Africa, as they've said, I think you guys, because of your ego...
But you're very patriotic.
Yeah,
You guys will die for the white and green any day.
Sometimes we do it for fun, especially to our little brother, Ghana, right? Where we're like, we're obviously better than
With
you.
your jollof wars.
Exactly.
And we're like, say what? We still can't make rice properly. Calm down.
But like you said, right? It shouldn't be a competition, right? Kenya really has a lot of things to offer to the table. My name is Obed Yila, Junior Yila. I am a Nigerian, as you can see. I've lived in Kenya in and out for about, in total, 6 years. I'm a student, but I also work as a voice actor. If I'm being honest, I'd say to some degree I'm battling with. I would say I do kind of have an ego where I would defend my country whenever I hear, some kind of slander, right? But through this conversation, I've seen that we're more open, I think with different scenarios, right? That's just what's required for us to share or even shed that ego, right? And understand different cultures. So that's being Kenya.
Nigeria, apart from the fact that they're the most respected black nation on the planet, the reason why we do not have electricity is beyond the fact that we cannot do it. The infrastructure you're talking about, if you compare Kenya to Nigeria, how many cities are in Kenya? And how many cities are in Nigeria?
Nigeria is much bigger than
We have
Kenya,
more
so-
cities in Nigeria than in Kenya. The best place to take the drone to is Nairobi. Don't go anywhere else. You'll be disappointed.
Look at the naira and the shilling. You see, it's good to have cities and everything, but how does it then reflect on your economy and your GDP? Fine, have the cities, have the beautiful buildings and everything, but how is it affecting the people? How productive is that nation? That's, I think, the key thing. And even as we say giant, we're looking at how is the lifestyle of the people, how is the economy doing, how is the shilling doing, how is the business environment?
Yeah, services.
Yes, in the countries. And that's why we say we can't really say a nation is a giant, and it's not a nation that we can borrow so much from and be like, oh, we'd like to have infrastructure like Nigeria, or we would like to have a strong naira, or we would like to have
a national
electricity.
carrier like Air Nigeria. It's just ridiculous.
Please step forward if you agree with the prompt. Nigerian men are more romantic.
Only the Kenyan man. You have to come put us up. Oga, one of you come here.
Romantic. Let me show I'm romantic. No, Nigerian men, sit down.
Okay.
Nigerians don't have a moderate button. Anything you do 1,000. If a Nigerian man wants you, he'll make it known. What I like about your men is there's no beating around the bush. There's no bush. Yeah, there's this guy who used to come outside my college and just park there. And first I was mortified. I was scared. Then I was like, that's how these guys are. Like, they make their point known. They go after what they want. And I think that's what maybe we like. Kenyan men take that as aggression. Kenyan women are as forward, not as forward as your women, but we like that.
I think also it's the culture. I like the culture in Nigeria where the role of a man and a woman are very well defined.
Yeah.
And there are things women never do. Like, I remember my first time in Nigeria and I was with a client of mine and he was my client. I remember getting to the car and he'd open the door. And then I shut the door. I was like, I have hands. I can close my door. So I was struggling with that. We'd go to a room, he'd open the door. I was struggling with that. I'm like, first of all, you're my boss, why you open the door for me? And then when we got into the car after 2 days and he said, you must have had a difficult childhood. And I was like, no, why would you say that? He said, because you don't allow yourself to be a woman. And then from there, I started observing the culture there. And like, even when you're carrying heavy stuff, someone will come and help you. There are certain jobs, especially I've seen this in the North, where it's only men who do, women are not allowed. So the roles are very clear, and a woman is allowed to be a woman, and you're not shamed for that. You're not shamed in Nigeria to even be a housewife. A man is expected to take care of his family, spoil his woman. While here in Kenya, the culture is a bit different. It's like, yeah, men and
Free
women,
for all.
you're the same.
I work on radio. I had this conversation and someone said when my dad would do something wrong, he'd come home with shopping. Meats.
Yeah, meats.
He'd come home with
Meats,
meats.
yeah, how you express.
Can you imagine? And I'm like, isn't that something basic? Are you not supposed to provide for your family? So our men are not expressive. Our men don't show affection. And then the culture that is closest to yours, we have Luos here from Nyanza, the guys from the lakeside. They love fish. They're as loud as you are, as flamboyant as you are. So they are more expressive, and it's not weak for a man to show his feelings because our men believe it's weak. In fact, they call it simping. They say, go and be simped for by those Nigerian Yahoo boys. Let them go and simp for you. And I'm like, why is loving a woman simping? I think our men need cuddles.
My dad would treat me worse than my sister. He'd be like, come on, you do it, you're the man. He always puts that, you're the man. You and your sister are fighting, you're the man. You don't touch her. Dad, she slapped me. If she slaps you, report to me.
Yeah.
You can't touch her. If you beat everyone in the house, it will give me 24 and give them 15. And I'll be like, why? At the end of the day, they're gonna get pregnant and come back home with nothing. And he told me that is the reason why I treat you the way I treat you. So that by the time you know life, you go out there, you find it easy to understand the woman's world.
There's a point in our history in Kenya where like my mom grew up without her dad, and it happened in very many Kenyan homes when we were colonized, and our grandfathers and great-grandfathers were taken for the World War II. So there was a generation that grew up without their fathers. And then you can imagine a man coming back from war. He's not a man anymore. We didn't know, we had never gone through that. So we didn't know how to handle this man. And then they also come back and the women have taken over. They are now running the homes. And that has really affected our society even until today. So you find that sometimes a man doesn't know what role to play because he comes and he finds a Kenyan woman, for example, is so independent. And we saw it from, our grandmothers. They had their businesses, they took care of their families. So that gap in our society has really affected us.
Then when I came to Kenya, my God, even some men I interacted with in Nigeria, they were all sweet. And then someone likes me and I know they like me. But I can't be the first person to move, so I'm waiting. And then he's like, oh, I love ladies who are hardworking. And I'm like, what do you mean you love ladies who are hardworking? Can you just tell me? I say, oh, I think I like that about you. And they're just going through the corners. But I know what they want to say. Yeah, and they are not the kind to give gifts.
No.
Nigerian men, once they say I love you today, tomorrow they are, and especially if they have money. Tomorrow they are sending some money and they're everything. So they are the ones who even make women look like they're materialistic because of how they've created, the atmosphere they've created for us. My name is Chika Ezine. I am Nigerian, Igbo to be precise. I'm a student. Never dated a Kenyan. But even on a friendship level, the Nigerian men, there is this feeling of love you get. They give it to you on a platter of nothing. For the Kenyan men, the ones that I have interacted with, they seem to be shy about the things they want to say or the way they express their friendship to you.
Can the disagreeer please step forward?
I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Very old ladies. Oh. Beautiful ladies. Beautiful ladies.
Nigerian man would never describe us like that.
Old beautiful ladies. Listen, they're beautiful ladies.
He said what he said.
I said what I said. Okay. We are truthful. We are raw. I believe we are raw. We are more raw, especially when you're expressing love. We are more raw. But on an average, the Nigerian men, I'd give you to that. You guys are flamboyant, are romantic. But I think with the new breed of men, from their experience, and I believe it's from our parents, coming from our parents, how they used to treat our mothers. I mean, I've never had my dad tell my mom, I love you. This new breed of men that are coming,
Including yourself.
that are coming up. I think we are romantic. I think that we don't have examples set for us to become romantic and flamboyant the way you guys are. But I think in our own good way, we are being romantic. We don't do it publicly, but in our own beautiful ways, we are romantic.
And you are your own yardstick.
Yes.
I just love it. We are also romantic.
I was thinking as you guys were speaking, I think you guys have a good way around words. And I think that really gets to women. Us, we don't really know how to express our feelings. We don't really know how to express what we think also. And I think you guys do a good job. But if an average young man is in love with a lady, he will do anything. Maybe you guys have a different experience. But for me, in my own experience, I think we are fairly romantic.
I remember a situation where I was at the cafeteria. I was with a Nigerian guy and some Kenyan guy is like, I know this girl, we shared some class together and she's very sweet. And that Nigerian guy is like, please don't say that about my sister again. Yeah, because he knows that it offended me and he took it upon himself to attack immediately. So that feeling of love is there.
Especially with us who are brought up in a society where men, in a way, are somehow elevated. You see, you don't feel like you need to come down to their level to agree with them or to make them feel they are loved. For us, women, they owe us. And it's not the other way around. I think that's where we are wrong as Kenyans.
You think you're the price?
Yes. I'm Elisha Mwangi. I'm African, but Kenyan. By profession, I'm a construction manager, but by calling, I am a youthful pastor. My experience with Nigeria is on the screens. It begins and ends on the screens. But I think Kenyan men, we are romantic too when we choose to be romantic. Most women tend to misunderstand us. Also stood back because I wanted it to be interesting. I mean, it would be so boring if all of us were here saying, oh, Nigerian men are romantic. Also, it would hurt my ego. I mean, I am a man and I have my own ego.
Kenyans have a better speaking accent than Nigerians.
I do like the accent. I've been to a couple places in Africa and I've heard people speak. I'm not talking about how you choose your words. That's a different thing. The way you pronounce cap, cape, stage, bus stop.
Yeah.
You know, I once had an issue with that. The lady came to see me. For 2 hours, she was at the stage. She was like, I'm at the stage. And I was like, stage? Like, where's the show happening? Is there like, who is performing? Like, she was like, yeah, I'm just here at the stage. I was like, you just got to the stage. Are you performing? Like, where's the show? Do you know, 2 hours?
Oh, no.
She was so pissed. She sent me a very terrible message.
Yeah, because you ghosted her.
That's how you got blocked.
It wasn't, I didn't know. I didn't know, you know. But I like the way you pronounce a few things. Nigerians, if we're pissed, we have a way we talk.
Yeah.
If we're happy, we have a way we talk. But Kenyans, they talk the same way. Whether they're happy, whether they're pissed, you know, it's the same thing. That's one thing I like. Yeah.
Kenyans don't get overexcited. So for me, it kind of feels safe. I remember the first time when I went to Lagos, I used to take paracetamol, Panadol, like every day because I wasn't used to all the shouting, the hooting, then the shouting, even when someone is seated next to me.
Yeah.
And they also still have to, you know, let me tell you now, like, my arm, please, my shoulder. And then the way they have to stress words. And I noticed, like, even when I would go to a place, they would get a little bit pissed off with me. And they're like, could you please say it again? I'm like, I'm trying to say, speak up, we can't hear. What's wrong with you? Are you unwell? I'm like, no, this is how I talk. And they used to tell me, you'd fit better in the north and Abuja. So I fit better in the north and Abuja.
In Nigeria, the way you talk matters. I can say, I'm hungry right now. Yeah. And guys will be like, you don't mean it, you're not hungry. And if I come and say, hey,
with the theatrics.
now they'll be like, he's hungry, right? So that's why you say the modulations are very important for us.
I'll speak from a production point of view. I'm a voiceover artist and I do voice translations. It's called dubbing. Yeah. And I'm not going to mention any big company names. It starts with an N though. They like to do their productions here because we have a cookie cutter accent. Down south, the South Africans have a lot of the R's stressed. And then y'all, I don't even know how your British colonies, because my God, sometimes we can't hear what you're saying. And then I think Kenyans are it's like a safe accent that's almost not regional, but continental. You can hear us better, in form of communication. When you meet a Nigerian in a professional setting, there's no pidgin in the room. It's just when you meet in an informal setting when I'm like, are you intentionally making it hard for me to understand what you're saying? I work with a Nigerian. In fact, the show before mine is co-hosted by a Nigerian journalist. I hear her, but I think sometimes you're low-key do it intentionally. So we just make it a little hard for us to hear what you're trying to say.
Don't get me wrong, me personally, I love the Nigerian accent. It's
like Wahala.
Yeah, it's really unique. I think it's really unique.
And dramatic.
And dramatic. I love the drama, as you've said, the way they express how they feel hungry, how they feel tired. I love the way they express, but I think the only problem I have is how you guys have butchered English. You've spoken in English, but what you guys are trying to relay is not what you guys are saying.
Oh, pidgin.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't bring the bill. That means bring the bill.
Oh, exactly.
Like on what planet is that even?
So imagine you're saying, okay, let's create a Nollywood scene here. The father says, give me my medicine, right? And he said, Dad, I'm playing video games. Give me a minute. You will not kill me.
Yeah.
I like it.
So before you kill me, I'll kill you first. All he's just saying is, you're wasting my time.
Yeah.
Get me my drugs. Done.
Can the disagreeers now please step forward?
Our languages are beautiful in their own way. We're all both colonized by British, but none of us speak British English. Yeah. So that's where our problem starts. We picked our own English and decided to go with it. You said that there's just one tone for everything. Yeah, I feel like Nigerians value their voice. They speak for you to understand how they feel. Like if they're angry, they tell it to you. Oh, I'm angry at you, and you see it from the elevation of their voice. And if they are not, you see how soft they speak. However, our African mothers, they have taught us to be sarcastic, and we have carried it along. Yeah. So when she says, hey, come and put it on my head. No, she's not telling you to come put it on her head. Yes.
At first, I was like, nah, I beg to differ. The Nigerian accent is just far better. It just has more, flavor, right?
Fun.
It's just more, exactly, yeah, whether you speak in Pidgin or just the way we express ourselves, right? But even actually when you mention, the Kenyan accent being a bit more easy to understand, right? I'm also a voice actor, right? I can imagine, if I'm speaking with a Nigerian accent, you're not gonna get it.
At all.
Like when I was young, right? I was very soft-spoken, but then when I used to have to go to Nigeria, they'd always be like, can you speak up, my friend? So that kind of forced me to be actually more vocal.
I feel like that's why if you watch a lot of international movies that are representing Africa, they do not use the Nigerian accent.
I think it's for everybody.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I don't like writing songs in my language. My language is Yoruba, so we have these marks. So if you pronounce the O the wrong way, you've said something totally different.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So it's easy to piss people off. I thought it was like that with Swahili. It's more complicated. Swahili has 10 words for one thing. My language has one word for 10 things. OWO, which is Owo, can be hand, can be something collapsing. It can mean so many things, and it's the same OWO.
I like the conversation. It opened up my mind to some prejudices maybe I've had, because I've always thought Nigerians are super duper to the power of infinity loud. But I've understood that it has a lot to do with upbringing. You're all raised to be proud and to speak up. Maybe instead of having an issue with it, the other African countries can try and believe we're superhuman like you all do in Nigeria.
Corruption is more prevalent in Nigeria than in Kenya. Since no one agreed with the prompt, can all the disagreeers now step forward?
Let me first clear the air. We are corrupt too, to the point where even the Western world tagged us the third most corrupt nation in the world. They say Nigerians are scammers, Nigerians are this, Nigerians are that. If you look at the stats, Nigerians are not even top 3 scammers in the world. Nigerians are not top 4. We don't sell drugs as much as Mexicans or Colombians. We don't scam as much as Jamaicans, even the Indians or the Chinese.
And the Asians, the Chinese.
Yeah. Like we previously said, we're loud.
I agree with that.
We proudly...
Because you're the loudest, even in a classroom. The loudest person is always, I'm very loud and I'm small. So I'm always, when people are rounding up the usual suspects, of course they're going to suspect me first.
Exactly.
So it's just because, plus you're very bold.
Yeah.
You're bold and your potential is more visible than maybe any other country. I'm not saying you're in any way better than anyone, but I'm saying you stick out. In music, in sports, of course, I would want to keep you.
Yeah. So that's why we are more popular. Yeah. Do you know that every other African, the first thing they see in Nigeria, they'll be like, okay, are you sure you're not going to scam me?
419.
I'm telling you.
I was in the airport. I've been to 5 airports. I've so many times wanted to throw away my Nigerian passport.
Bro.
So many times. But still, it's those who are watching from the outside that will think Nigeria is corrupt. I came to Kenya and I was like, we tried.
I can't say I know too much about this topic when it comes to corruption. Yes, Nigerians are corrupt. But even, I think so is Kenya, right? But it's just because of the misinformation that's typically spread about Nigeria. Whether you meet, let someone meets me, oh, you're a scammer, or someone tells me, a snake swallowed this amount of cash. And I'm like, you don't even have your facts, but And I don't want to say that Kenya is more corrupt than Nigeria. Like I said, I don't know enough, but in a country like Kenya, from my experience, money talks. Yeah. There's nothing you can't do. All you have to do is just slip someone 2K, So like I said, I don't know too much about it, but
maybe less.
But there is corruption, yeah.
For me, like when I opened up my business in Nigeria, people kept on asking, why open in Nigeria? But for all the years I've been in Nigeria, I've never been scammed. Ever, ever, ever. Apart from one incident at the airport. Those days you could get your visa at the airport. And then they used to have this thing. So we used to tell each other as Kenyans, make sure you have the exact amount of money. Because if you carry extra, you would not get your change back. But other than that, while doing business, and I did a lot of work with the government, I have never, ever been scammed. I think Nigeria is a bit more open with their corruption. They don't even hide it. You get to the airport, they tell you, something small for the small boy, ma.
So
something for the small boy, ma.
What do you have for me? What do you have for me?
That stereotype really, I feel like you people need to just chill with us, have some time with Nigerians. You would realize that 80% of the country don't even know what scam is. The 20% who go out there, are very loud about it. So it looks like the entire country is scamming, when there are so many other Nigerians that are in other countries who have trailed, the other medical fields, schools, sports, almost everything. And there is a Nigerian in every sector. Even in the government, in America, there are Nigerians there, in so many countries. So why is it the scam that is more popular?
But I also think, honestly, as a continent, as Africa, I think we are very corrupt. The whole system, from the president to the ministers, to those civil servants, everybody in the whole system is corrupt. I don't know how to compare between Nigeria and Kenya, but the whole of Africa as a whole, we steal from our own. And I think that's the biggest problem. And that's what paints us as a corrupt continent.
I really believe in Africa being united, because since we seem to have a common problem, we can be able to all come together and come up with a common solution.
But I think also it's a moral thing. Morally, as a continent, we're not really there. We're not really there. We're always backstabbing. We're always talking evil of the other. We always want what they have to be ours. And I think morally, as a continent, we're not there yet. And I think that's where the work needs to start. Not the conversation about who's corrupt, who's not, but how can we better ourselves as a continent.
Kenyan food is undoubtedly tastier than Nigerian food. Since no one agrees with the prompt, can all the disagreeers now please step forward?
Our food is mostly to feed hunger. It's not aesthetically appealing or taste-wise. We just cook like for convalescents, like sick people in hospital.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do enjoy a few.
Yeah. Like what?
The meat.
Nyama choma.
Choma.
Yeah. Is that cooking?
I'm a fan.
That's putting food on a grill.
Burning food.
That's burning food.
And we have suya. Suya is way tastier, yeah.
Because it's seasoned.
Undoubtedly, because of also culture. Our women are very busy. You see, they're working women. I think because they're not stay at home, I think as Nigerians are, most of them stay at home and value the essence of a family and how preparing food is a big part of family eating together. So I think that's also a part why we do not have very tasty food.
And in Nigeria, food is a language.
Exactly.
Right? The southern side of the country, if you have a disagreement with your husband or there's something going on in the family that is not working, that's where we firmly believe the way to the man's heart is through his stomach.
Yeah.
So the woman would cook. She would cook his best. And when he sees that, the first thing we ask is, what do you want? Because he knows that you've communicated. You don't have to tell me. I know, the food is that good.
So if I see a woman with a Louis Vuitton handbag,
the cooking skills are next level.
I think in Kenya, we have a variety. One of the interesting things is, having lived, for example, in Nigeria for 4 years, I found interesting was a lot of the restaurants there sell more of local food. So even KFC has a bit of flavor of their local food. And I really liked that they have lots of healthy food and traditional food. But I also like that in Kenya, we have a whole variety to choose from.
I don't want it to come out like we're trash talking all Kenyan food. There's people from down south, the coast. We have a lot of influences from very many cultures because of the people who colonized us. Because the coast was the inlet for the foreigners, we have Arabic influence. So our rice is very good down south with the coconuts, with the biryanis, which is Asian and Arabic also influence. And then people from Nyanza side tend to also love to cook. I think because they're also from Sudan, they have a lot of, because of how they migrated into the country. So their food is also wholesome and they also take pride in their food.
I remember my dad saying, "Isn't I can't stay here. I'm going to be sick. I'm going back to my country." Yeah, because of everything is cooked to, like, babies that don't have teeth.
Yes.
Yeah. There are some foods I enjoy, like I love the street foods. Yamachoma, the roadside fish. They are nice.
I was actually going to say, I think you guys should actually give yourself more credit, especially the food down, like the Swahili foods, the pilau.
Yeah.
I think you just need to find the right person to cook for you, and it's flavorful. But of course, as a Nigerian, we're very proud of our food, right? It's made with love. Like I was back home, during Christmas, right? And just, you could feel the love in the meal. We're just proud of our food, right? It's very diverse, I would say, compared to the food here.
Unpopular opinion, I feel Kenyan food is healthier because there is no over-process. We cook our food to destruction.
Wow.
Like, that's the truth. We would fry the thing till there is no element of tomato left. That's why you taste it and be like, what is in it? Haven't you eaten Nigerian food and be like, what's in this thing?
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's just tomato. You can't be serious. That's why a lot of Nigerian women are big. Because we eat a lot of oil, a lot of fried things.
Yes.
I feel like that's also what gives it its taste. Because when you kill the natural thing, then you can now invent your own thing, I guess.
Yeah.
The pepper though, like dial it down.
It's not for everyone.
No. I had a Nigerian friend.
Not for everyone.
So the first time they invited me over to their house in Lavington, I was like, Malaika, if you didn't want me to eat, I could have eaten at my house before I came over. And she would, every time would have, I know what one of you said about expression, like it's a way you express yourself. I liked her brother a little. So the pepper would just keep getting more and more. The more I liked him, I'm like, chill. I get it. I'll leave your brother alone. He's a no-go zone.
And also there's some foods that I'm like, I didn't know people eat this body parts. Like, especially in the north, they would start with cow leg.
It's a big deal.
So I started now enjoying the soup. And when they start, they like a lot of times I noticed when I would cook for my Nigerian friends, they'll be like, your food is dry. So they're like, can we first start with soup? And I'm like, we do ugali, nyama choma, and kachumbari. They're like, is there soup? I'm like, our food doesn't, we don't have soup. So, but there I learned to just also learn how to have like different even courses, like the first course, have soup. And then from there now we can have, So I learned how to have cow leg, and it's now one of my favorites.
It's really good.
Nigerians make the best music in Africa.
Honestly, I love South African music. Yeah, but Nigerian music, honestly, like in gospel music,
It's sweet.
It gets to this place. It brings out that thing you are trying to hide.
Growing up, there was a lot of TV and music from the West. Saturdays, I used to listen to Rick Dees. And then one day, I started listening to music from Nigeria. And I was like, there's another type of music. There's Afro music. There's music I can shake to, dance to, and it's not limited. It spoke to my soul, and I was like, this is my kind of music. And I remember one time I was shopping somewhere in London, and in the shopping mall, they played Nigerian music. And for me, it didn't matter that I'm not Nigerian. I'll tell them, this is our music.
Continental
This is our
pride.
music. And I enjoy Kenyan music, but I think there's more variety that I get from Nigeria?
I think for me, Nigerian is African. I mean, it's so authentic because you guys are very in touch with your language. I mean, I was saying earlier that I don't even know my own mother tongue, but you guys are very in touch with your culture, language. And when you explore that in terms of music, it brings something very authentic, something not borrowed. And the way you guys speak to the soul, as everybody is saying, I mean, I have my playlist on my phone is like 70% Nigerian.
Yeah.
I don't think even South African music represents Africa as Nigerian represents. Even the visuals, you know, the costumes, you know, what the scenes, they're very African. They speak African. I think that's what Nigerian music does.
And I love the fact that you've put African music, okay, Nigerian music, but on an international platform. I love to see you on the big stages alongside Beyonce. I'll tell you a quick story. Burna Boy is performing at Coachella, and his name is in a small font, and Beyonce's name was like blown up. And he told his mom, fuck, I'm not doing that. They have to give me the same typography, the same font, the same bold, big. Burna Boy has the African giant, or whatever he calls himself, you know, like no pun, I'm just saying that I love the fact that you have put us at the forefront of entertainment. And then I love that you've monetized it. We can see that music is feeding your artists, because many of our artists here are struggling.
For the platform.
We are praying for them. But we have the Sauti Souls as well, who are also making their mark in a big way on a continental level and international level. They've sung for Barack Obama when he was still president. But we love the fact that you've put all of us on the map.
Yep.
No, I really like the unison we've had, you know, and that idea that Nigerian music is African music, you know. I mean, I did much of my schooling outside of Nigeria or even Africa, you know. I did when I was doing high school in Spain, and people talking to me about Burna Boy. I'm like, what you know about Burna Boy, you know? Like, the way that Nigerian music has been globalized, like, I used to pray for times like this, you know what I'm saying, right? So, yeah, of course, the industry in Nigeria is absolutely massive, and that's, you know, what's being commercialized. So, of course, there's a bit of ego, you know, when I say, yeah, Nigeria does have the best music, right? Of course, when you're talking about, and it's not even Afro beats, right? There's even now, like, Nigerian rock, and we're still speaking Yoruba, right? There's gospel music, the amount of tribes and just different ethnic groups that are expressing themselves through music. I think Nigeria does kind of deserve a shout. The Kenyan or East African music scene is definitely underrated, you know. South Africa is now getting this shine too, right? So it's hard to say, you know, Nigeria has the best music, but I think you could maybe top 3, top 5, you know.
I think what we admire most about your music is what he said, the authenticity.
Yes.
Because you can't outdo Beyonce, and you all know that. So you give it to us raw, you give the world raw, you give Nigerian. You're not even apologetic about singing in your own dialect. And as we're here, we don't even know what you're saying though.
Can the disagreeer now please step forward?
First of all, when it comes to music or entertainment, what I love about it is there is no bias. If you're good, you're good. So saying Nigeria has the best music, I do not buy that. Because before Nigeria came here, we were here, we dropped. The Congo music came, took over the entire Africa. Awilo, even I was dancing. A lot of us were dancing. We didn't understand
We didn't understand
what they were saying, but we loved it. Every birthday party had that. If you don't have that as a DJ, please forget it. Don't play. You know. What we are supposed to say is Nigerian music is the most hardworking industry in the whole of Africa. There is competition. There is enough drag. Now, what I've seen out of few countries I've traveled to in Africa is that they are not hungry as the Nigerian artists. We've noticed that half the work we'll do in our own country would push us further in other countries. We have 250 million people who wants to listen to 250 million different things. Now, what will make you stand on top of the whole 250 million? There's a lot of work to be done.
You conquer Nigeria, you conquer the world.
You understand?
If you are not well-traveled, would you say you would be receptive to different sounds from different areas of the continent? If I went to Nigeria, would I find Sauti Sol playing in a mall, in a club? Are you receptive to, or do you just only like affection and validation one way?
Sauti Soul plays in it.
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah,
Diamond,
names such as
Diamond
Sauti
took over
Soul,
Nigeria.
Platinums, you know.
This guy, what's his name? Brakata Tumba.
Yeah.
That guy played in Nigeria.
Yeah.
They had to chase him out.
Serious?
Yes. So now Nigerian artists work that hard to make sure that we push everybody else away.
And focus on theirs.
You understand? So that's where the work is. We do more work than every other artist.
We have more similarities than differences.
I believe human beings in general, we are more alike than we are different.
Yes.
It's just we have some prejudices, and then we're also products of our environment. So what you see is what you believe is. So when something looks different, then you totally like shut it out, and then that's what creates the rifts. But we are very much alike.
I'd say also even the problems we face. I mean, they're very, very similar. You know, the problems politically, socially. Most of the problems you guys have. We were talking earlier. You're saying even how you guys don't want to intermarry. It's the same. It's almost the same thing around here. People want it close to their community and all. But you see, that we have similar problems. And I think that's something that unites us as a continent. As we were talking earlier about corruption, something that we are fighting daily.
For example, in Nigeria, one time I was homesick and I was in the north, a place called Zamfara, and they made me pilau. And I can hear Hausa because Hausa and Swahili, like even the numbers 1 to 10, are almost similar. And then you realize we have a lot in common. And when you sit, you find that, for example, food brings us together, and we like to express by welcoming you to our homes.
I think in general, we just live in a world that often tries to separate us rather than us, looking at what we have in common, right? Sometimes you just have to go and find it. I will never forget, watching Kenyan news, right? And being able to understand a bit. They said dunia, and I looked at my dad, and he mentioned the Arabic influences, So sometimes we're often, whether it's hesitant or we're just not willing to communicate, right? But when we have the conversations like these, that's when we do realize how much we do have in common.
First of all, when you travel to the West and you're the only black person, the first black person you see is your brother. It doesn't matter
where he's from,
It doesn't matter where, Because like, we're staying here, if we don't say anything, nobody knows where anyone is coming from. We all look the same, basically. I noticed that Africans, before we fight, we first look for the similarity. We do that a lot. When I got to Kenya, it was unconscious. First thing I was like, do these people have the same pepper that we have? I'm beginning to look for, okay, can I make the same food in there? And my mom, the first time my mom called, hey, did you get egusi there? And I was like, yeah, everything is basically here. Just find it.
Exactly.
One of the major things I've noticed between Nigerians and Kenyans is that we are very welcoming. Like when I first came to Kenya, like, oh, you're Nigerian. Hey, what's your name? Like, my name is Ezin, and then, we heard those names in the movies. And I'm like, yeah, they are very common in local movies. And you see, they want to know. They are eager to know. They are curious to know what, and they are very like, oh, you're just new. Don't worry, let me do it for you. Yeah, and back home, it's the same. I remember when I traveled to the UK sometime last year, and then my auntie was like, we went for shopping, and then she's like, auntie, is that in Nigeria? She's like, no, it's not in Nigeria. No, she's from, I think it's from Senegal or something. And I'm like, oh, she's like, but it's your brother. Yeah, so we don't really care. Once we find ourselves in a foreign man's land, we turn to siblings.
Exactly.
We don't do, oh, you're Kenyan, because of that I can't relate with you, or I can't save you when you're in trouble. There's just that love and bond that exists amongst Africans.
And Africans are generally warm. Just warm. I think white people they like space, personal space. We hug, we touch, we show a lot of affection. Yeah.
We have come to the end of the show. I hope we're able to find some understanding amongst ourselves.
Nigerian, man. That's it.
Thank you.
You change jerseys.
You had your shirt. It's been a pleasure, though, man. Man, I really enjoyed it.
your bracelet.
I
can't
must cut
wait.
it on camera that I'm giving it to you so that they see it. I give it to you so that you know.
I can't wait to hear about your experience.
Been sharing your experiences.
Okay, mine would be scared.
Serious.
That's amazing.